This is Rob Tebbett for ID Boxing. Delighted to be joined by one returning Sam Jones, the return of the Sam. How are you, Sam?
Return. I've never left. I'm good, mate. I'm good, mate. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Very well. We kind of mentioned this briefly off camera. I think this is the first time we've done this in a little while. I think the last interview that we did was before Joyce versus Bryant Jennings, which I think would have been... Yeah. So that's, I think so. It was like 3 years ago, I think.
No, incorrect. You interviewed me on Solomon Dacres' debut. I remember this. Remember, it was in lockdown. Do you remember? Lerone Richards?
Yes.
What a memory.
Yes.
What a memory.
He boxed...
Manev.
That's it, yeah.
And Lerone boxed...
Hard man. He boxed Giovanni De Carolis.
Yeah. What a memory.
I remember that. I remember being ringside. There was... yourself and Adam Morley on that side, and me and Ron Lewis, R.I.P. Ron Lewis.
You were doing the round by round, weren't you?
Yeah.
I remember.
How are you? How you been?
I'm good, mate. I am good. I'm very good. I can't complain.
Like a phoenix reborn from the ashes, as now a manager of this man over here, just off shot there, Jack Catterall, who was, of course, signed with Matchroom Boxing today. Big signing, big day of signings for Matchroom with Sonny Edwards and Shannon Ryan as well. Must be over the moon.
Yeah, I am. And also, I'm very, very fortunate to manage someone like Jack, because I'm not just saying this. There's similarities to him with the way Joe was. You could literally put any fighter in front of him, and he'd say yes to it. That's why, as I say, he's got a great trainer, Jamie Moore, as well, wealth of knowledge and stuff, and that we'll all make the decisions together on like who he fights and what the best plan is. But I think we've got an idea of we know the plan. So it's exciting, mate. Very, very exciting. But yeah, I'm blessed to be working with someone like Jack.
I spoke to him briefly, obviously 10 minutes or so ago, just before we did this interview, and I sort of said to him, how was the pitch? And he said, well, Sam dealt with Eddie, and what was it about Eddie and Matchroom and DAZN that you felt was the right fit for Jack at this stage of his career? I'll
be honest with you, Jack wanted to sign with Eddie. That's what it was. Jack instructed me to get a deal done for him. So I think Jack, it's not as I say, he's had his past with Frank Warren. Did well under Frank Warren. Got himself into a good position in the WBO. The boxer situation was unfortunate, but listen, there's no hard feelings, no bad blood there between Ben and Jack. Ben wished Jack all the best today, message, so fair play there. And I think it's just now consistency with Jack. It's like if you look at Jack's career, some other people would have gone off the rails a little bit with how Jack's had to wait, but as you say, he surrounds himself with good people. He's got a nice family. He's got his own little family. He's got loads of good friends around him, and he's kept focus. And we was talking about it today. He says he's always consistently the first one in the gym and the last one to leave, and that's what a real champion is. And I can't wait to see him an active Jack Catterall, what an active Jack Catterall can actually do now, because part of the deal was very openly 3 fights in 9 months, Rob. So we're going to have one good fight, but he deserves a bit of a tick over. But it won't be somebody that's coming to fall over. It'll be a proper opponent, and it'll be a 10 to 12 rounder. And then after that, we're looking at getting him headlining the Manchester Arena. That's what this is all about. I know there was a bit of a void left from Crawler, the Ricky Hatton fight nights. Jack's the man to fill that void. I'm as I say, if I can play the tiniest part in that, then it's fantastic. But I can't wait to see Jack win a world title, because I genuinely believe he's going to win one.
Before we come on to what's next for Jack, you just mentioned there about Ben Shalom and Boxxer.
Yeah.
We worked around boxing for a little while now. It's not always the way that you get the oh, well done, mate. Best of luck in the future messages, particularly at the minute. I mean, politically, it's as bad as I can remember working in boxing. You've got everybody. They've got legal letters flying about and all sorts of stuff going back and forward all the time.
Yeah.
All the lawyers getting paid because they all need the money. But that's good to hear. It's nice to hear something like that, and credit to Jack and of course Ben as well.
Yeah, listen, as I say, fair play to Ben. I mean, listen, it's not the contract wasn't fulfilled. Look, Ben tried to make the fight. He did make the fight with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's now chosen to fight Teofimo Lopez, but I don't want to spend an interview talking about Josh Taylor's next book. That's a great fight, but Jack has his own career. And we have to focus on that. But yeah, Ben Shalom. He put the fight on. It didn't come into fruition. It is what it is. You handshake and move on. Ben's doing his thing on Sky. He's got signed some fantastic fighters. Good luck to him over there. I've got a decent relationship with Ben. You just move forward. And as I say, Jack wanted a fresh start. Eddie's the man to deliver him the consistency that he needs and the activity, because it genuinely, people say, oh yeah, an active fighter is a danger, but literally, if you look at Jack's career, he genuinely does need activity, and this is what he's going to get. He's going to have fight news next week, and he can't wait to just forget talking about politics and business of boxing, because when you get to the level that Jack is, it becomes, boxing is become not horrible, it's the wrong word, but it can be horrible, and now it's just time to, Jack, here's your date, get in the gym and do what you love doing and get to perform on fight night.
I'll ask you the same question as I asked Jack about the kind of the lie of the land, really, of course, without Jack in there. How do you rate the 4 world champions?
I think he's the best. Jack, I genuinely do think Jack's the best in the 140 division. But listen, if you're going to go on titles and who's beaten, I think Prograis nicked the fight against Josh Taylor. I thought it was very close. I thought, well, I don't want to go into the Jack because people have asked me about it all day, genuinely, because I really rate Josh Taylor. I was a big Taylor fan. Just think he lost to Jack on the night. Jack didn't get the decision, but you move forward. Long story short, I think Prograis won. I think because Taylor's still got the belt, you give Taylor 2, and I'd put Jack in at number 3.
What about the other 2 champions? Where do you like that? Subriel Matias. Watch Subriel Matias, Jack. Good fighter. IBF champion.
Ergashev as well.
Yep.
Have you watched Ergashev? Ergashev's a very good fighter. I'd put him in around that mix. Listen, there's some great fights to be made. But as I say, Ramirez as well. I was talking to Eddie today. I was like, listen, Jack has literally said, give me any of those off that list. Give me any of them, and I just think we're going to have some great nights with Jack in the very, very near future. Good fight to come back with end of May, the first week of June, and then September. Hopefully, we'll get him headlining the Manchester Arena.
Which of those routes to a world title do you think is the most realistic?
Possibly the WBC, possibly, but he's highly ranked in the majority of them, so I think it's just a case of what the best opportunity is to present itself, because Jack is a name now in the division, and but I still don't think people look at Jack and think, flipping, I fancy fighting him, because he's a hard night's work. He's a hard night's work, and you saw the problems he gave Josh. Not many people gave Jack a prayer in that fight. He's ready for any of them. Like, there's not one fighter that Eddie could, in that, say, the top 4 or 5, the guys we've just mentioned, that I could ring Jack and Jamie Moore and they'd say no to him. They'd say yes to all of them, and they'd genuinely have a confidence of beating them.
We've also got the 135-pounders who are all bursting at the seams. I mean, Devin Haney, I'm looking forward to seeing where he looks like on the scales against Vasily Lomachenko. I would assume that he probably comes up to 140 sooner rather than later, and the same with Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. Yeah,
he looked awful, didn't he, on the scales, Devin Haney. I still think he'll beat Lomachenko, by the way. I know I got a load of grief saying that the other day, but I just think he's younger and fresher. And I think after this, I think Devin will move up in weight. And look, there's other fights there. Imagine talking a chess match. It'll be a chess match against Jack, but Ryan Garcia, I think he struggles at the weight as well. So I think another move up to 140. There's Adrian Broner that's still. We were just talking about him off camera. They're all great fights. They're all great fights for Jack. But literally, I'm not just saying this. He would fight any of them. I'm not playing it down, but it's not hard to manage somebody like Jack already. It's not hard to manage him. It was just the key thing was just getting this deal done and getting him active. But when it comes to, Jack, do you fancy? I don't even really need to ask him, because him and Jamie fancy any of them.
With the Josh Taylor saga, it's now kind of looked at across. The first fight that actually happened, and the second fight that almost happened and almost happened and almost happened and ultimately didn't happen. Is the door closed on that? Is that something that could be revisited in the future?
Listen, right, I mentioned it earlier on, and like I say this again, and it's not in a disrespectful way at all, but people don't stop Jack and go, "Oh, Jack, you need to put that right," because anyone with eyes watched that and they saw what happened. It's not being disrespectful. 99.99% people watched that and they knew Jack won the fight. People stop Josh and they message Josh. I see when he tweets like he gets, and I actually feel sorry for him, by the way, genuinely, because I think they're writing off his whole career just based on that. Everyone's entitled to lose on a fight or have an off night, whatever happened. Jack won that fight in my opinion. So it's on Josh really, because I do think the next time if they do meet, which I hope they do, because I think it's a great fight for British boxing, Jack will have his own world title to bring to the table, so it won't just be on on Josh Taylor's terms. I really don't. I think Jack's going to be up here when they come together. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I think he's going to go his own path, win a world title, and then who knows? They could fight at 147. They could 140. Jack's big enough to fight at 147 pounds. Who knows? But he won't dictate his career. Won't be dictated about fight Josh Taylor. He's been told you're fighting Josh Taylor instead. Not happening. It's no more of that. He has his own path and his own career.
How do you see Taylor getting on against Teofimo Lopez?
It's a hard one, Rob, because I like Teofimo Lopez as well. Get on very well with him. Jack alluded to it there. Listen, if Taylor's at his best, you'd probably fancy Taylor at his absolute best. Like back in the Shane McGuigan days in the early come up, he was a beast, wasn't he, Taylor? He was beating everyone quite comfortably. I know the Prograis fight. I still think Prograis probably just pipped him in that fight, but great fight. You couldn't argue of which way it would have gone. I don't know, but like he doesn't see. I don't. It's a hard one. It really. I'm not just saying because you know what I'm like. I don't sit on the fence with fights. I pick, but like I think if Taylor's at his best. If Taylor's at his best, we had an interesting guest just trying to barge into my room then. Strange man just walk into the room. Just come in, join. I don't know, Rob. Genuinely, I don't know. I think I would probably lean towards Lopez, just on I can't even say current form because Lopez isn't really looking great on current form either. Rob, I don't know, mate. I really don't know. I think they both don't have the best momentum, do they? Taylor's injury, the situation with Jack, they're both coming off. But I just think Lopez is could be a little bit fresher. He's a lot younger than him, but Rob, I don't know, mate. I would love to give you a straight, honest answer, but my straight, honest answer is I actually don't know who will win that fight.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting to see Bob Arum's quotes about it, I think last week when he was talking about it. Usually a promoter said, he's in great form and he's in great form. And he was like, I don't really know whether he's still got it and I don't know if he's got it. And we'll see, I guess, on the night, which in its own way was a very good way, I think, of getting us all interested in the fight.
I think when you get older, you just
doesn't care,
but Bob Arum doesn't care about what answer he gives you. He will tell you exactly what he's thinking at that precise moment, whether it's rude or whatever. He will tell you exactly what he thinks. I don't know. But one thing for certain is it's a great fight. It really is a top fight. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to it. I'm sure Jack will tune in and watch that fight. And as I say, anyone on those lists. I mean, if Teofimo Lopez wins, it's the easiest fight in the world to make. One phone call will make that fight, no problem.
We are here, of course, for Anthony Joshua's return against Jermaine Franklin. A career heaviest for Anthony Joshua today, 255.4 pounds. What do you make of that? We kind of heavyweight is the only weight where you can be fascinated about the weight because they can sort of weigh what they want. You either, Jack's case, you either make the weight or you don't make the weight. A heavyweight, it's like, he's this, he's that. What do you make of it all?
I don't know. Like, I've been around heavyweight boxing a lot, to be honest. So it's what you're comfortable at, and I think Anthony Joshua's probably thought for this fight. He's not in the GB setup like doing all this. I think he's just in a very humble gym, and I think he's got the few people around that he trusts. Derek James is his trainer. I think he's just thinking, I'm going to come into this fight whatever I feel comfortable at. And I looked at him at the scales, and he looked like the old Anthony Joshua that we were used to, the big, spiteful bastard that he was. Excuse my French. But, that's what he looks like. He's coming like... I think he knows in the back of his head, right? Because there's always been a lot of pressure on Anthony Joshua, unnecessarily as well, in my opinion. Unfairly, sorry, the right word. I think he's going to knock Franklin into next Tuesday, Rob. I really do think. I think when he hits him on the base of his head, anywhere on the base of his head, he's going to fall over, and I think he's going to stay on the floor. I really do think he's going to, old Anthony Joshua style. Big right hand, and you're going to take him out early.
You mentioned there about kind of Anthony Joshua going and relocating to America.
Yeah,
I think the general feeling is that is the best thing for him. You've had Joyce in the past, of course, go over.
He's always done his camps really abroad. He's always done his camps abroad. I've always said, Rob, I've always given my opinion to KD and Freddie, who are getting on really well. Get him away. I've always said to them, get him away. He should not be chasing university students around a corridor in Loughborough. He should not be around. He shouldn't be living in a university student accommodation. He needs to be living in his own world where people, like Eddie's right, where Eddie was saying that where people won't just he can walk around and he can go to the cinema and he can do normalish things. In Sheffield, and like, I know he had great results with Rob McCracken at the beginning and stuff, but like living in student accommodation, like no, you don't need to do that. Go and take yourself away. And I think Derek James will, I hope as well that it's going to be a start of a great partnership, and we'll see another, one more good run of Anthony Joshua, because listen, people said, oh yeah, he's not sold enough tickets this time, and told about his ticket sales. Mate, regardless of what anyone thinks, he sold the O2 Arena out, whether it's the first minute of the sales. There is not many people in the world that do that like Anthony Joshua. So long may he continue in boxing.
Particularly at the minute.
Absolutely. Let's be honest. There's a lot of tickets being given out at shows. That's just the fact. And it isn't good, really, for boxing, Rob. So
why do you think that is? What do you think has been the reason for that? Because it feels like in the last... I mean, obviously, there's been COVID, and what do you think?
Do you want me to be honest with you? Because I'll talk about the Okoli fight, and Lawrence is a friend of mine. It was not just the fact that it wasn't a great fight. Is the guy he boxed, no one had heard of, and he was useless, Rob. He was one of the worst world title challengers I've ever seen in my life. He was terrible. He was just like genuine happy to see... Lawrence Okoli should be fighting the number 2 in the division. We want to see Lawrence Okoli against Riakporhe. That'll do good numbers. Billam Smith. That'll do good numbers. We want to see the best fight the best. Anthony Joshua's fighting Jermaine Franklin. No one really cares about Jermaine Franklin, let's be honest. But they're coming out to support him in big numbers. But if Anthony Joshua was boxing Fury, Joyce, there would be no problem with ticket sales. When the best start fighting the best in boxing, you'll have no problem selling tickets. And when all promoters remove ego, calm the egos down, work together, you will see better fights, not diluted shite.
Promoters putting egos to a side. I just saw a pig fly over the O2 Arena over there.
That's what it is, though, Rob. Honestly, that is what it is. When promoters drop the ego a little bit, just a little bit, and they come to a table and they put... Look, I'll use a fighting example in the women's boxing. Women's boxing is better than men's boxing when it comes to making fights, the best first. But Terry Harper's there, undisputed. Natasha Jonas, undisputed. That's the fight to make. That is the fight to make. Just think, everyone, if the best fight the best, and they have attitudes like Jack, want to fight the best, boxing, more people will come back and be a lot interested. But let's be honest, no one's interested in Lawrence Okoli against David Light. They're just not. Like those type of fights, no one's interested. But they will be interested in Lawrence Okoli against Billam Smith, Riakporhe. The best versus the best. I'm waffling here, but yeah, you know what I mean, Rob.
That's all right. It's been a while, so
yeah,
we'll allow you a bit of waffling time.
Mm-hmm.
Where next for Anthony Joshua? I agree with you, by the way. I expect Anthony Joshua to look well. I think he's got a good opponent for him. Where next? Is it the Fury fight? I mean, kind of, we're talking about putting politics to one side. The Wilder fight is still there.
Rob, do you know if I could choose like top 3 fights I want to see in boxing, Jack Catterall fights aside, Deontay Wilder against Anthony Joshua, oh God, what a fight that would be. What a fight. It's not going 3 rounds, is it? It's going to be carnage. That's the fights we want to see. We want to see Anthony Joshua. We don't want to see him like fighting in non-title fights against Jermaine Franklin as much as like I'm really looking forward to see AJ back next week. He deserves this type of fight, by the way. But after this, I want to see him fight Joyce. I want to see him fight Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Those type of fights, and that's what we need. That is what we need.
What do you make of all of the latest fallouts in the heavyweight division? We've had Tyson Fury and Usyk. It's on again. It's off again. It's this split. It's that split.
It's bollocks, isn't it? It's bollocks. Like, come on. When the fact they've not made this fight now, right? And I'm not putting the blame on anyone. So when I say that, I just mean in general, the fight not getting made because Frank Warren would have wanted to desperately make that fight happen. George Warren, they would have spent hours on it, and Alex Cressett, they would have wanted to make that fight, but it's not happened for whatever reason. But it's shocking. It's so shocking the fact that we've got number 1 against number 2, first time since Lennox Lewis, an undisputed champion. We can have an undisputed champion. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. And you're going to see Usyk fight, maybe, no disrespect to Daniel Dubois. Like, it's a great fight for Daniel because it's like it's a shot at the world heavyweight title, but no one wants to see that, Rob. They want to see the best fight the best. But I'm not going to reiterate what I've just said for the last 10 minutes and bore you. So, yeah.
That's all right. I'm not bored. You mentioned there Joe Joyce, obviously somebody you know very well.
Yeah.
Been a big part of his career. I'm really looking forward to the Zhang fight.
Yeah, everyone should.
That's going to be absolute. You mentioned carnage for Joshua
Horrible.
Wilder. For 4 rounds, Zhilei Zhang is one of the most dangerous men in the world.
Yeah. Rob, I promise, and other than him being southpaw, you couldn't build a man to fight Joe Joyce better than Zhang. You could. Mum, sorry.
That's all right,
Sorry, Mum. You couldn't build a man for Joe Joyce to fight better than Zhang. It's on the slow side, but listen, he's a heavy hitter. No one can deny it. Zhang can punch. Hrgovic had got a great chance. He put Hrgovic on his backside, but I think you'll see Joe get hit in the first couple of rounds. I think you will. Joe will take a few, but then he'll proceed to batter him, Rob. And I think he'll get him out there within 7. I'd be amazed if it goes into the 7th or 8th round. I'd be completely amazed. I think Joe's going to proper fill him in, Rob, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, I expect Joyce to win by stoppage, but I expect those first 4 rounds to
uncomfortable
really
for both.
to watch, yeah.
Uncomfortable for as I say, if no one's bought a ticket there, get yourself to that fight because it will be fucking carnage. That fight will. So, yeah, good fight.
Another one of the heavyweight fights that's been talked about, particularly recently with the collapse of Fury Usyk, is Fury versus Joe Joyce. From my perspective, from the outside looking in, Joe Joyce is a handful for anybody on any given night. Do you think that's a realistic fight potentially for this summer, Fury versus Joyce?
Yeah, but listen, Tyson's a wild card, isn't he? Like 1 minute he'll say, Joe, I want to fight you. Next minute he'll wake up and think, don't want to fight Joe Joyce. I'm retired. But that's what Tyson's like. That is just what he's like. It's not nothing new to Tyson. That's the type of person he is. I've seen them spar, Rob. So when people say, because I know people used to say, he doesn't know what he's talking. Believe me, Joe causes Tyson Fury nightmares. Not even saying Joe's going to go through him, he'll win. Tyson Fury will have to be at his brilliant best to beat Joe Joyce in that fight. His brilliant best. And won't be able to make any mistakes because Joe will be on him if that fight happens. And it'll be a really good fight to watch as well, by the way. Because Fury's not on his toes as he once was. Fury's sitting down on his shots more. It'll be more of a fight. And it'll be a really, really good watch, that will, between Joe and Tyson Fury. Great fight.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that. But anyway, right, last one I'm going to get your opinion on. Mr. Sam Jones, manager, now apparently analyst for this interview.
Sorry.
Gervonta Davis. No, don't apologise by any stretch of the imagination. Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. We spoke about it briefly.
Don't ask me who's going to win.
No, I have to. You can't sit on the fence twice in one interview. Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Who wins and why?
I swear to you, right? I keep changing my mind about who's going to win. I think Ryan Garcia is going to stop him.
Okay.
Delete this interview if I get it wrong.
Absolutely not.
And
make sure
also,
everybody clips it up.
and also, I might change my mind again because I am not confident. I just think them spiteful left hooks, and I think if you watch Rolly Romero against Tank, and I'm a huge Tank fan, huge fan. I love watching him fight. He's one of the very few fighters I'll stay up for nowadays because I'm in my old age and watch in the early hours in the morning. I just think Ryan Garcia is going to beat him.
Why? I'm not saying you're wrong. Just why? What's the reason?
I don't know.
For it? He's got that X factor, hasn't he, Ryan Garcia? Where you can just see him doing something. But then I also think Davis is the same.
I just think he's going to pull something very special out of the bag. I think it's going to be a career best performance. You have to remember, not many people have been calling to fight Gervonta Davis like the way he has. Been saying to him, and no one really believed him, did they? If we're honest, I didn't. I definitely didn't. I want to fight Tank. He's obviously seen something in him and think, I want to fight him. I can beat him. I don't know. That's how I feel today. I might feel different tomorrow.
Jack, who's going to win?
I'm the same. I just see from both angles.
Jack Catterall sitting on the fence there for people who couldn't
Literally.
hear it. He's sitting on the table. Sam, we're going to finish with this man, Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
I can tell. I can sense your excitement about getting him back in the ring. What are we going to see from Jack Catterall to close out 2023? It's got to be world titles, hasn't it?
Comeback fight in a good fight. End of May, first week of June. And then, listen, he's ready to go. He'll fight anybody. Absolutely anybody.
Anyone can get it. Surely can, man. There you go.
Yes, exactly.
That's a new nickname for you. You can have that one.
Thank you, Rob.
Sam Jones, thanks very much.
My first interview on ID Boxing.
with me.
No.
Not done anything with Andy?
Nope, never done into an ID boxing.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Welcome to ID Boxing.
Thank
Hopefully
you very
it's
much.
not. Well, it wasn't 3 years. It was sort of 18 months.
Wait
years.
for another 3 years.
Yeah, well, you never know. You never know. But always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking
Nice
to ID
one, Mark.
Boxing.
Cheers, mate.
Catch up with you soon.